Well, hello to all of you out there. It is wonderful to be here with you. Welcome to Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose with Patti. I, of course, am your host, Patti Stuhlen, and I am what I like to call myself the Chief Pathfinder of Pathways with Patti. And this is my new pathway that I'm taking with this podcast. If you listen to my trailer that I posted earlier, then you know exactly this is all about living your best dash. And exactly what does that mean? And the goal of this podcast is to bring people on the show that will show you exactly how they are also living their best dash. Along with that, they're also going to be sharing with you how they have rediscovered their passion and purpose all along their life's journey through their stories of what they have been through and what they have also come through. I am extremely excited and happy to have my very first guest on this podcast be one of my very special people on the entire planet. Brenda Soucy is our guest today. And Brenda, she happens to be what I call part of my international trio because she is from North Bay, Ontario, Canada, which makes us international buds. And along with that, she is also the founder of Soullife Adventures. And Brenda is so passionate that she is guiding people to discover their soul life adventure while traveling. Brenda, welcome to Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose. As you can tell, I am thrilled that you are here today. Thank you for being my very first guest. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so grateful for this.
Excellent. Well, you know, we've started these journeys. You started a little ahead of my journey in this area of entrepreneurship. But with that, that's how we connected with one another, is through creating our entrepreneurships. And so let's talk about your journey. Where did it begin, and where were there areas that maybe that you found out that you lost your passion and purpose? More than that, tell us a story about living your best dash.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Patti. So basically, I noticed it was in 2017 when I was working in international business for a mining company. And one day I realized that I was no longer challenged at work. I had been certified for the highest designation in my industry, and I was no longer learning more mentoring and teaching, and I was no longer challenged at work. And there was this specific day that I arrived in my office, and it was just pouring rain, and it was cold, and it was like at the time of year that the winter's starting to come to us in Northern Ontario. And then I realized that my daughter, I'm a single mom, and my daughter was walking from school to her swim practice. She's a competitive swimmer. And when I finally got a hold of her on the phone, she said that she had stopped halfway in a corner store to get warmed up to continue with her walk, and that not to worry today because today the water in the pool would be warm this time. So that broke my heart. So I knew that I wanted to have her on my schedule first of everything, and then everything comes up. So that's when I realized, okay, something's got to change, and it's up to me to change that. So that's when I started working on myself to see more options out there, more opportunities, more venues that I could leap into, and which I did.
Excellent. So going along with that, I mean, so obviously you lost your passion and purpose for what you were doing. Is that what you discovered?
Yeah, I did. And I found myself, like, when you're working towards an identity of yourself, and this is who you are. And most of us, we identify ourselves with our work. And we think that, okay, this is what I've attained for, and this is where I'm at. And then I realized, like, I can't go on living this same routine for the next 20, 25 years until I retire. I can't do that. There's got to be more to life than this. And so and what happens with us as humans, and I realize that now today, but at the time I did not know, when you're frustrated, when you're tired, when you're only seeing negativity. And when you put it out there and your mindset is negative, frustrated, and tired, only of that stuff will come back to you. And you feel that you can't get out of that. So I think that's when we find ourselves being stuck, is when we're only focusing on, this is who I was, this is who I am, this is what I've worked for all my life, and now what?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, yep. And we don't believe or don't see that there's anything else outside of us, because we've worked, all of us, up until now. This is who we are. But we grew up in a society that it's either or. But with my own journey, I realized that we can be and. So today I can say that I am an international business consultant and a transformational mindset coach, that I guide people in their soul life adventures.
Wow, that's impressive. So you knew that you had lost your passion and purpose for what you were doing or what you trained to do. What were the steps? What was the process of you trying to figure out what was it that you wanted to do next when you knew that you didn't want to do this anymore? So where did you start, or how did you know how to start?
I did not know how to start. I just started seeing all these mentors presenting themselves to me, and then I started buying into this mentorship through various coaches, which one of them was Mary Morrissey and the other one is Tony Robbins. I went through the Mastery University of Tony Robbins while we were on in a pandemic. I couldn't travel because my passion, that's how I grow, that's how I learn. I discover new cultures, and I travel like that, and I learn like that, and I grow. But during the pandemic, I took my money and I invested in myself in another way, which was through my own mindset. And it's changing my own mindset, my perspective, my focus on how to be positive, how to see opportunities and things like that, that I was able to learn from all those mentors. And now that's what I teach other people, that they can do it for themselves.
Wow. So in essence, you didn't really know that that's what you wanted to do, and didn't really realize that that was going to be a passion and purpose for you.
No. And I like, in the corporate world, I would say in the mining industry or aviation industry, I've always worked with men. I've always been the only woman around the boardroom table, or teaching them, or talking. So in a corporate world, it's not something that you come out and say, oh, I'm frustrated with this, or like, you always show up to be your best version, and you do your best in what you know, and your certification and all that stuff. So, but in the corporate world, you never come out and say, oh, I need to go meditate, or I need to go do some yoga, or it's not understood, I would think, at those times.
Right.
Even when I left, and I did say to one person that I was going into a different industry, which was personal. I was going to be a transformational mindset coach, and I was told, oh, that who stuff, and everybody can create their own titles now. But I was like, okay, I can't share this here.
Mm-hmm.
Some industries are open for that stuff, and some is just different. It's who you speak with, basically.
So let's go back a little ways. I want to find out, because it does seem like travel, you've mentioned that several times already in the podcast. When did you realize that you had a passion for travel?
I always did. Um, I think I take it from my father.
Okay, why
Um,
and why would that be?
well, he does import export into United States and Canada with his truck. Okay, so I grew up being on the side passenger of him and discovering United States. And when in high school, there was this Europe trip, and I got myself into that trip. And then Europe opened to me. And we went to several locations in Europe, and it was like, oh my God, like there's so much to see and so much to learn. It just broadened my horizon and opportunity, how people live differently, the lifestyles of different people, the food, the culture, the history in these countries are just like amazing. So I never went back to the United States, unfortunately. Very little. I did go a few here and there, but ever since, I've always been going back to Europe and discovering new countries, or Southeast Asia, like Australia, New Zealand, Iceland, Austria, like Switzerland. I've gone every time I go somewhere. I make sure that I see everything, and because there's other countries I need to see.
Well, and on a side note, I got to get you to California. Come on,
Yes,
you got to make it to California sometime.
yes, that's one part of United States I didn't do, the west coast of United States and Australia. I went all around Australia except for the Western Australia. Yeah.
Well, that's because the universe had not introduced us to one another yet. So but you're now introduced to a very good tour guide for this part of the United States. So remember that
Yes.
when.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I know that this is being recorded two different ways, one audio and one through the visual also. For those people that can only hear this podcast, I know they are detecting an accent from you. So would you like to share with the audience exactly where your accent comes from?
My accent, I am originally from New Brunswick, New Brunswick is bilingual in Canada, literally, governmentally, like literally bilingual. However, where I come from is fully French, and I grew up in the border of United States, state of Maine, and the province of Quebec. And the rest of New Brunswick is got different dialects and slangs, which is unique in their own because of the history that they have in Acadia and Moncton. But the southern part of New Brunswick is English. So I grew up in a very small town of French Catholic. And I had two uncles that were Americans. They married my two aunts, but they would speak to me in English, and I would watch English television. I would take a few classes a day of English in my school. But I really went, and I knew that I needed to learn English for international business. So 18 years old, I bought myself a ticket. I got a working visa, and I worked and lived in London, UK.
Wow.
So you can imagine, from 800 French Catholic village to end up at the Terminal 4 at Heathrow and saying, okay, where do we sleep tonight? In French. It was just such an experience and an eye-opener that summer.
True immersion, right?
True immersion. And I would recommend that to everybody that wants to learn in English. Just go immerse yourself in it. And that's the fastest and the best way that you can learn it.
So that kind of leads me into my next question for you is what have been some of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
The first one that comes to mind when you say that is my divorce. Like I divorced when my daughter was 18 months old. And so when I got my footing as a single mom, I knew I was like, okay, my house is good, my work is good, like everything is good, my daughter's good. Now I need to reconnect with myself, because that's a period of transition that some of us go through. I'm sure that some people in your audience will connect with that. And I had to go through that myself. So I was like, okay, I did not know personal development at the time. And I was like, okay, so what are my passions? What is it that I do love for me? For me.
Mhm.
And it's always been traveling. Before I got married, I was going every single year at a different country. That was my purpose. I was just discovering and just, so when I found that out, I was like, yeah, yes, my passion is traveling. And I was like, but now I'm a mom. What if something happens to me and my daughter is 4 years old at the time, when by the time I did this, and it was like I need to go. I used to go backpacking. Like that's how I travel. I backpacked. I solo travel. I did a lot of stuff on my own and with other friends. However, because I'm a mom, suddenly in my mind it changed for me.
Mhm.
So I bought the most expensive ticket ever that I did, and I always loved this the movie The Sound of Music. So I went to Austria on a bus tour, which I don't do. I went on this Sound of Music bus tour, and I was gone from my daughter for 10 days, which was the longest time that I was non in contact with her, even though I shared the 50-50 with her father. And it was the most, it was hard. It was really hard. Because of the time zone, she was asleep or she was at school, like in where I was, I couldn't call her. So, but when I ended up hearing her voice one morning, I was just in it was in the old telephone booth, and I was just bawling my eye. It was good. It was good because you know what? I came back from there. I realized that I'm a mother, I'm still a woman, and I love traveling, and my daughter will be fine. And when I came back from that, I learned that I was energized. I was invigorated again, exhilarated as to come back and just, so in the same way, you know what it did? It taught my daughter that a woman can do that for herself.
You put
Um,
yourself as a priority.
and a mother can go out and do that and come back, and she's happy, I'm happy, we're happy to see one another. And then the other thing is that there was a mommy daughter trip as well every year. So I took care of myself, but I also make sure that there was also a trip for her and I to complete together. So and so my daughter, as at 4 years old, she sees her mother being able to be independent and go out, take care of herself, go travel, do what she loves or whatever that it is for you,
Right.
and come back and be as much as energy and ready for another step, right?
Which has led you to one of the things that I've been loving over the last several months of quoting you as, what is your favorite thing to remind people about? You know what I'm referring to?
Well, yes. Self-care is self-love. It's not selfish.
Yes.
And that's like I only realized I said it out loud last year, but all throughout these years as I'm teaching my own daughter and myself, going out and doing these trips, and or even girls weekend or a weekend away or whatever it is for you, that is that you take care of yourself. I grew up thinking that was selfish because that's
Hmm.
what society would say, right?
Oh, yeah.
And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, that's what, if you do that, you're filling your own cup. And more your cup is full, more you can give to other people. And life is about the universal law of circulation. You give, and more you give, more you will receive.
You know, when you just said about filling your cup, I was watching a online show last week, and one of the people that was on the show, she was asked, she was the guest of honor on the show, and she was asked how she refills her cup because she gives so much to so many people. And her quote was so interesting because she said, I never give people from my cup. I give them from my saucer.
Yes,
And she's
exactly.
She said, because I don't want my cup to be drained. I need to make sure that my cup is full so that way I'm able to continue to give to others and serve others without losing who I am. So she gives from her saucer. And I thought, wow. I mean, talk about mind blowing. It was like, that's quite the concept, and very visual, I might add.
Yeah.
But that goes right along with the self-care. Self-love is not selfish. You know, you can still give without having to drain yourself in the process.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's
And
powerful stuff.
you give from your saucer, and it's said, but usually visually, like that's what I was thinking as well, is like the cup is full, but there's always a saucer to catch that, and that's what you want to give from there. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we know that travel is definitely a main theme pretty much your whole entire life, and your passion for that, and it has given you purpose to know that those things are what energize you. They fill your cup. So what is the best thing that has happened since you have started and discovered Soullife Adventures?
Well, Soullife Adventure is when you gain clarity on what is it that you would really, really love in your life, and the life that you would like to create. And so when you get clear on that, you see it, you feel it, you're seeing yourself in that picture. Then once you commit to it, that's when the decision is made. And that's when the universe starts creating magic for you. And you will have fear. I can tell you, there's always fear with us. But as long as you don't let fear have you, you have courage, and you bring on the fear with you and propel you forward to actually take the steps forward for what is it that you believe and you want in your life. And I'm the product of the product. And that's what I've done.
Excellent. So when people contact you, what is it that, for the most part, is your goal to be able to do for people that want to be possible clients of yours?
The ones that are in transition, they feel that they're stuck and they don't know the next step forward. And those are the people that we like I said, I have a 12-week program that I take them through. And there's in there, we change our mindset. We see different perspective. We look at our old stories and we give them the lessons from it, the stepping stones from it. There's 2 weeks of forgiveness, because the universal law of forgiveness is very, very important to us, because once we carry that baggage, if we carried that baggage for 20 years, then we're not having the space to receive the good that's in the future. So we need to learn how to let go of that, and then become the best version of ourselves. And who is that? And that's what we work through.
So I know as entrepreneurs, we're constantly reinventing ourselves, our product, what it is that we present to other people. I know that you have had a passion project and you are in the midst of creating that to become a reality. Would you please share with the audience what exactly that new passion is for Soullife Adventures?
Yes, so I am taking people, a group of people, a very close group of 10 to 12 people, and for 6 nights in Amalfi Coast, Italy. We're going to be, so in the mornings, it's the mindset workshop, like our Soullife Adventure Discovery. And during the after breakfast, we're going to be going, there's one, it's like a cheese farm. Another day is an olive farm. And we're going to go to Pompeii and Nepal. And so there's excursions every day on this, this villa that we're going to be. It's a beautiful villa overseeing the the water and the mountains, and it's a beautiful location. And at 3 p.m. there's an Italian chef that comes and teaches us culinary recipes and skills for the Italian cuisine for four nights, and we eat our own food that we create that same night. So I want to bring these groups of people to discover and reconnect with themselves, remove the baggages that they have been carrying for a certain amount of time, and also guide them into their self-discovery, not only in mindset, but in physically, like discovering lifestyles, how to live, new cultures, new foods, and just approaching life in a new perspectives, basically. So, and learn from the people that we meet as well while we're traveling, because everybody's got like their own ways of living. So that's a beautiful thing in itself.
Well, I can definitely tell from a visual standpoint that you are extremely passionate, and this is your new purpose, because you are absolutely glowing. I know the people that are listening to this right now, they cannot see the huge smile upon your face or the glow about you, but that's part of how we know that we are rediscovering our passion and purpose. And even though through creating Soullife Adventures, you haven't really lost your passion purpose, but what keeps happening is, I believe, I know with Pathways with Patti, we just keep rediscovering new things that bring us passion and purpose. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And this is something for you, these retreats that you're going to be doing, that is part of rediscovering what brings that passion and purpose to your life, isn't it?
Yeah. And for me, when I think of those, Soullife Adventure in Italy, Soullife Adventure in France, Soullife Adventure in Morocco. I'm doing a solo traveling in Morocco in November, but I do want to have a group of people to come one day with me as well, after I've come back from Morocco. But these adventures, like, there's so many people out there that maybe they've always, a person has a partner and they say, yes, we'll go, but they haven't gone yet, but they don't want to go alone.
Right.
There's other ones that they just want to connect with other group while traveling. There's other ones that recently divorced. Maybe it's recently empty nesters that they want to find a new passion or rediscover what they would love. So and that's what I was about to say, is that they're retreats, but for me they're a pilgrimage. A pilgrimage. So if you look at my website, soulifeadventure.com, I have a section on there. It's pilgrimage. Pilgrimage. So
Yes.
Pardon my French.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Because it is your passion, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So many times you talk about your adventures, and I know that you've shared some of your stories with me, that I would love for you to share a couple stories from your personal Soullife adventures. For example, when you went to Australia, what was one of the jobs that you had when you were in Australia? What did you do?
My job in Australia.
Yes.
I had obtained the job of data entry in Sydney, Australia, but we bought a ticket to go all around Australia, so I'd never actually worked in Australia. So my job was to make every single day we would get up at 6 a.m. and every single day was a brand new adventure. I got certified scuba diver in Cairns in the Great Barrier Reef. I went air ballooning in one morning. We went to Queensland, slept one night with the Aboriginals. There's one night I ran into the darkness into a field after a rabbit, which to me is the same synonym as life, because here we are, we're running after a rabbit in a black field. The only lights that we had was the southern hemisphere stars, which is such a beautiful sight to see when you're there and looking at that. And we had a beam light with one person trying to find a rabbit in 35,000 acre field that we did not know. And whenever that he would call rabbit, we would jump out of that 4x4 Toyota and run into a field in blackness, and we would fall over ourselves, fall on our face, fall on our sides, but we'd get up and go back. And that's life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So there's a lot of my trips that I like, even that scene running in a black field taught me something about life.
Right. Because it all reverts back to that, doesn't it?
I got up and I kept going, and we all got up and we kept going until we caught that rabbit after the 5th time of getting out of that Toyota truck.
And you succeeded.
And we succeeded. So those trips, in many different ways, there's always a lesson.
Well, just like your biggest hike of your life, which was what? Share with everybody your biggest hike ever.
When I turned 40 years old, I went and I bought this ticket. I love mountains. I love hiking. I love traveling. And I wanted to learn meditation and yoga. So I was going to go to Nepal in the Annapurnas mountain range. And I was going to hike to Poon Hill, 10 days into the mountains of sleeping in Tibetan tea houses with cold water, no heat. And I had to have a backpack of 20 liters because the Sherpas, respect of the Sherpas of the weight that they carried. So when I told people, I was so excited. But when I told people were like telling me, well, aren't you scared of getting like altitude sickness? You've never done that before. Like, are you going to be able to make that? Like, no hot water. And so I started believing that. I started hearing that for myself. And then I realized, whoa, that's their own fear. That's their own doubt in themselves.
Yep.
And I reconnected of my passion and my heart that expanded whenever I saw myself on that top of the hill. And I became resourceful. I became self-trust. Self-trust is very important. And I come back to the soap example because the weight of my backpack needed to be 20 liters and the soap was so heavy, and I needed toilet paper on top of that, and my everything. So I took the potato peeler and I shaved the soap and I put it in a Ziploc bag, and that soap became weightless. And every time I needed a piece of soap to wash my hands, I could leave that wet soap in wherever I was. So I became resourceful in those ways. And so resourceful, I trained my legs and I trained my lungs, that for the second day of being in the mountains, I got into trouble because I had lost myself from my group, and I found myself way, way, way ahead, an hour and a half away ahead of everybody.
Wow.
And so then I knew at that point that I had worried for nothing. I was going to be okay, and I was going to go on top of that mountain. And the last 40, we got up at 5 a.m. and the last 45 minutes to go on to that mountain top, it was still dark. We all had this lineup of headlights in the trail. And when the sun came up, it just revealed this beautiful mountain white tops. And we were standing on top of the clouds, and it was the most beautiful experience. And I was so proud of myself that I did not get scared. I got fear, but I did not let fear have me. And some people would have just chosen to stay on their couch, but I got outside of my comfort zone and I pushed through it. And it's when you're resourceful, when you have new perspective, new ideas, new ways of thinking, that you can create stuff like that for your life. And that very moment, I always bring myself back to that moment. And it's a moment in my life that I have lived on my own, but there's with other people, strangers that I became very good friends with, but I would have not exchanged that than being scared and being my comfort zone into sitting on my couch at home.
Well, and that's a perfect lead into what was going to be my next question to you is throughout your life, and you just shared that you had people do what I refer to as they were yucking your wow. This was a passion and a purpose for your life that you had, and yet there were people that I'm sure you respected and loved were saying things to you that they were putting down what you wanted to do. They were yucking your wow. I'm sure that that's happened in other phases of your life of whatever it was you wanted to do. So when people through your life have wanted to or have yucked your wow, how do you respond back to them, or what is it that you do internally so that that yuck does not stop you or deter you from proceeding forward on what it is you are passionate, your goals, your intentions for your life of what it is you want to do?
I connect back to myself and I bring compassion, I bring understanding, and I bring value to their words because it is their opinion, it's their journey of their own life, and they want the best for me. And but at the end of the day, I'm the one walking in my own shoes. And
Mhm.
whatever experiences I need to learn, I need to learn. It's in my path for me to learn. And there's some have had a bigger impact on me than others, I have to say. But I
Mhm.
really, really have to reconnect with myself and wonder and ask myself what I love, what I want to create, and how do I want to live my life. And that's um and that's how I deal with that.
And
I
is that the advice that you give people who work with you when they find that they constantly have people in their life that are sending them negative messages? Is that your advice that you give to them?
well, at the beginning, I tell people keep your dreams and your goals close to your heart, just like you have a brand new baby. When you have a brand new baby, you don't here. You don't give this baby away because you want to protect it, you want to save it and stuff. So you have to do that with your own dreams and your own goals until that you actually have that confidence, that belief, and that faith that it's going to happen. But
Mhm.
when you're saying it out loud to other people and you're looking for advice, you're very fragile at that moment because you're not only like fighting your own negative thoughts, that talk that you hear yourself talk, but
Mhm.
then you're constantly now you're opening yourself up to other people to hear their constant talk to you, and then now it's coming back to you. So you're no longer fighting your own, being the guardian of your own thoughts. You're bringing other people's thinking. So what I say to people and how I coach this through is that keep those dreams and those goals very close to your heart
Mhm.
until you're very confident and you know that this is really, really what you want to commit yourself to and you're doing. It doesn't matter what people say, you're going to do
Mhm.
it. So, and
That is
there's
that's very awesome advice there, Miss Susie. I'm very impressed with that. Which leads into my next thing. What is the best? What would you say have been the best pieces of advice that people have given you?
I would say that it's one of I've built it in my own core belief, even in my website, and I keep coming back to it. One of my mentors say, like, we are far more powerful and capable than what our circumstances, situation, conditions that we are currently living. And I do think that we have all the resources in within ourselves to be empowered and be capable of surpassing whatever that presents itself to us. Because when you look at the lessons that's coming to you, you may not know it right then now, but there's a lesson in there. So I do believe that we are very powerful and capable, more capable than what we think we are going through.
Absolutely. I agree 100% on that. What brings you joy and happiness?
Oh, my daughter and traveling.
Uh-huh.
uh, um, Walking on the beach and listening to classical music and sometimes coloring.
Oh,
There you go. Oh,
excellent.
cooking.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
I'm an amateur cooker, but I always love new recipes and trying new recipes and seeing what comes out of them.
Do you have a specialty?
My cream, my I'm French, so my
Mm-hmm.
cream soups, my of anything is
Oh,
always been one of my things that I have not seen nobody like.
oh,
Everybody likes it, so I can make
excellent.
a vichyssoise, vegetable cream soup, roasted red pepper cream soup, like any cream soup. Um, the secret is lots of butter.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Butter makes everything better, as I've heard them say. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
So as we're getting closer to our end of our time here together, what is there anything else you would like to add about what you are passionate about personally and professionally?
I am so passionate about like when I can talk to people and you can see in their face they have this aha moment
Mm,
and they're smiling and they're so happy that they've come to a new awareness level. And either it's through if I say something that they've never really, like a lot of times you say something, but until you're ready to hear it and being aware of it, it's a total different level.
sure.
And or even I have these two beautiful international, I'm a host for two beautiful international kids, 11th grade, from one from Japan and one from Spain.
Mhm.
And I took them to Toronto the other weekend. I took them to Ottawa, and just to see in their face like, oh wow, look at this building, look at this. And they're like in awe of
Uh-huh.
discovering architecture, in awe of discovering food. Like I took them to Moroccan food, I took them to Korean grill house, like, and dim sum, where you go with the little trolley, and their taste buds were just like, wow.
Uh-huh.
And so that to me brings me joy.
Awesome.
So when I see people that are experiencing something for the first time and they see now that exists, and they totally enjoy it, or they've come to an aha moment for their own personal growth, that's what I love.
That's awesome. That's very cool. And quite the difference that you are bringing to those young ladies' lives with those experiences. I mean, what not only an experience for you, but a massive experience for them. That's
Oh
very
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing too, because the other part of the show is rediscovering your passion, which we were learning about with you. But what would you say is also your purpose personally and professionally?
My purpose is to help people remove their baggage
Mhm.
of old stories they keep telling themselves, and guiding them into a self-discovery, that to for them to realize that they have all the capabilities to create a life they love to live on their own terms. And yes, you can be married, you can be in a couple, you can be, but you can do it.
And
And
what
that's
about
my
for you,
purpose.
your purpose personally?
My purpose personally
Yes.
is to live that out, is to create that for myself and to create that for others.
So
Most importantly, for my own
you're a
daughter.
living example. You're a living example of what you coach and teach.
Yes, I am. I'm the living product of my own product that I teach. And I'm combining all into my passion of this Soul Life Adventure travel. And that's why I came up with Soul Life Adventure. Soul Life Adventure is basically, we all have a soul, and we're living this human experience on life. And this life is all an adventure for us to grow and to learn for our soul. And we all have one life, we all have one soul, and it's the adventure and the experience that we're going to bring to that. So that's why Soul Life is in one word, because it is one in itself and for the purpose of our soul during this human life experience.
That is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say is your superpower?
I'm a good listener. I'm calm. I'm grounded, and yeah, those I like.
Those are wonderful superpowers. I mean, really, when you think about it, I don't think that when people think about their superpower, I don't think many people would be going to, oh, I'm a great listener. But that is a superpower, because so many times we want to be, we want to be the one that's sharing, we want to be the one that's talking, but we all need to have that person that wants to listen to us on top of that. So that is a superpower. That is excellent
That's the
to know.
feedback I got from my clients, is that is those things. So from the testimonials and the feedback from them, I really take that to heart, and that's what they bring. They tell me that I give them the space of as a mentor, as a coach, to be who they need to be in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a powerful superpower. My last question for you then is, how are you living your best dash?
I'm creating every single day towards the life I love to live, and it's being in the moment, recognizing that in the moment, and that's how I'm living my best dash. I'm including my travels, I'm including time with friends, and my daughter's schedule is in in my calendar first, and everything that was priority and I valued most in my life are in my calendar. And I think that's every day of living my best dash.
Most
And
definitely.
dash is daring. And
Yes,
I
it
can tell
is.
you that I have a sign here. I didn't put it out, but I've been called many, many a time crazy because of the things that it's like, oh, I'm going to Nepal. Oh, I'm going to Australia. Oh, I'm going to Austria. I'm going to Iceland. And a lot of people have told me you're crazy, and don't quit your corporate job. What are you going to do with your benefits, your retirement? You're a single mom. Why do you want to do that? You're divorcing, like, why? And so there's so many times I've been told that I was crazy, but at the same time, you need to do what you think that's best for you at the time, because it's all about the adventure of learning for your soul.
Because that craziness is helping you to live your best dash.
And you know what? It's the crazy people that usually sometimes they end up creating stuff that you would never think about.
And that those creations also end up helping other people also. Because of your craziness of wanting to do all these travels, you are now going to take that craziness and be able to involve other people to make a difference in their life. And bravo to you for doing that.
Thank you.
Are there any final thoughts that you would like to share with our audience?
Nope. Just ask yourself, what would I love to create in my life? And see how that feels, and see what picture comes in your mind, and make it as vivid as you can.
Well, I want to thank you, Brenda, for being here today as my very first guest. It has been absolutely spectacular having you here. I hope that you've enjoyed your time here on Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose.
Yes, thank you, Patti. It was so much fun, and thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
It's been a joy talking with you, as it always is. And for you in the audience, I would just like to encourage you to make sure that you go to the link so that way you can connect with Brenda. Brenda, real quickly, I know it'll be in the link, but why don't you once again give us your website?
My website is soulllifeadventure.com.
And you'll want to connect with her. I know you have a 30-minute free Zoom with those people, right? If they want to chat with you. Perfect.
Yes, I have a 60-minute Zoom.
That is awesome. Take advantage of that. You will not be sorry for that. More information on Brenda and her Soullife Adventures will be in the bio at the end of this podcast. And remember, if you'd like to learn more about rediscovering your passion and purpose and living your best dash, also in the bio is the link to Pathways with Patti. Check that out. And if you want to talk to me more about that, I also offer a free 30-minute Zoom with you. And I'd love for you to sign up for my weekly newsletter that comes out each week, telling you and describing to you on how you can continue to live your best dash with passion and purpose. Ms. Soucy, I believe that you are one of the lucky subscribers of that each week, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Very grateful for it.
Excellent. Well, once again, thank you to all of you for being here with us. And I encourage you that I know that you've enjoyed this podcast. I would love for you to subscribe to it and make sure that you share that with your family and friends as well, to subscribe to the podcast as well. And Brenda, once again, I cannot thank you enough for being my very first guest on Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose and sharing your passion and purpose with us and how you continue to live your best dash. It has been an honor to spend this time with you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
With that, each one of you, go out there, make it a great day or not. The choice is yours, because life is an adventure, and I want you to enjoy the journey because your life matters. With that, thank you so much for being here today. God bless you all.